RDJ makes a villainous return, the X-Men come home, and the Fantastic Four finally, maybe, get a good movie. Get ready, Marvel fans! Phase 6 is coming sooner than you think. The MCU had a remarkable run during its first 3 phases, pulling off the seemingly impossible with Avengers Endgame by delivering a climax worthy of 21 movies and 11 years of build-up.
Avengers! Assemble.
Phase 4 had the unenviable task of following that blockbuster achievement, and several projects were absolute fails. Even bright spots like Spider-Man No Way Home and the inventive Disney Plus series WandaVision were offset by disappointments like Eternals and Thor Love and Thunder.
He went from dead bod to good bod. And after all that, he reclaimed his title.
Phase 5 has fared even worse, both critically and commercially. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 did decently enough at the box office, but Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania underperformed, and The Marvels is so far the lowest-grossing MCU movie ever. The abuse allegations and subsequent firing of actor Jonathan Majors dealt the studio a major blow, as his character, Kang, was being positioned as the MCU's next Thanos-level threat. It looks like the Kang storyline will be abandoned altogether, but it's worrisome that such important questions remain unanswered so close to Phase 6's official 2025 kickoff. So far, the Avengers have been the backbone of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it doesn't look like that's going to change much in Phase 6, which includes 2 confirmed Avengers movies. Odds are that the MCU will continue to revolve around Earth's mightiest heroes for the foreseeable future. Of course, the Avengers are going to look very different in their next 2 cinematic offerings, given the death and/or retirement of several of the original members.
You know, I'd make a lot of changes around here.
I'm counting on it.
The first film was announced as Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, before the Jonathan Majors scandal shook things up. The company announced at San Diego Comic-Con in July 2024 that the new title would be Avengers: Doomsday. It's currently slated for a spring 2026 release, although the full cast remains unknown. That'll be followed in May 2027 by Avengers: Secret Wars, which will likely adapt or at least draw inspiration from one, if not all, of the various comic events of the same name. Whether Secret Wars ends up being a huge Endgame-level climax, or one of the yet-to-be-announced Phase 6 films serves that purpose, remains to be seen. While some of the 20th Century Fox Marvel movies have been, or soon will be, integrated into the MCU in some form, the 2005 Fantastic Four movie and its sequel have remained separate entities until recently. One likely reason for this is the fact that Chris Evans played Johnny Storm / the Human Torch in those films, before taking on the MCU's Captain America.
You don't really want to walk around on fire for the rest of your life, do you?
Is that a trick question?
But Evans reprised the role of Johnny in 2024's Deadpool and Wolverine, so everything's back on track. Other than Evans' fiery encore and John Krasinski's cameo as an alternate universe version of Reed Richards / Mr. Fantastic in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Marvel's first family has yet to be properly introduced in the MCU. That's set to change in the summer of 2025 when the Fantastic Four: First Steps arrives in theaters.
We want to do our research, we want to be authentic, we want to bring it to life in a very real way.
The cast includes Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman, Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, and Ebon Moss-Backrack as Ben Grimm, the Thing.
Come a long way since the garage.
Gotta say, it's fantastic.
Additional cast members include Julia Garner as Shaul Lubal and Ralph Ineson as Galactus, with John Malkovich, Natasha Lyonne, and Paul Walter Hauser recruited for undisclosed roles. And while he may not be the film's primary villain, First Steps will introduce the Fantastic Four's biggest nemesis, Doctor Doom, whose surprise casting shocked the world. The crowd at July's San Diego Comic-Con erupted in cheers when it was revealed that Robert Downey Jr. would make his MCU return as Doctor Doom.
New mask. Same task.
The franchise's presumed next big bad. We don't know whether he'll play Victor Von Doom, a somehow revived or multiverse variant, Tony Stark who becomes Doctor Doom, or someone else entirely. Either way, it looks like RDJ is once again going to be a central figure in what will be the MCU's next huge climactic event at the end of Phase 6. After likely making his debut in a post-credit sequence for the Fantastic Four: First Steps, Downey will join directors Joe and Anthony Russo for both Avengers: Doomsday and Avengers: Secret Wars to close out Phase 6. It will mark the Russo brothers' first foray back into the MCU since 2019's Avengers Endgame, with the Dream Team getting back together to right the floundering MCU ship and return it to Phase 3 glory.
Everything they said they were going to do, they delivered on. Their attitude kind of breeds this sort of lightness on set.
The Russo brothers are set to make at least $80 million for directing the two movies, with Downey's paycheck climbing even higher. So let's hope the movies kill at the box office. Black Widow opened MCU Phase 4 with more of a whimper than a bang. Luckily, it was followed up by Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which followed the tradition of Doctor Strange and Black Panther by taking the MCU in exciting new directions. Only 3 months after the movie's September 2021 release, it was already confirmed that a sequel was in the works. Unfortunately, updates about Shang-Chi 2 were almost non-existent for a few years, followed by word that the soonest it would come out would be after the next Avengers movie. After that, things went quiet yet again. Finally, in April 2024, star Simu Liu responded to some fans on Threads asking about the Shang-Chi sequel, posting, "I promise it's happening. It's not a release date, but it's a confirmation that Shang-Chi is still slated for Phase 6 until we hear otherwise." Avengers villain turned ally Simon Williams, aka Wonder Man, was first slated to appear in the MCU way back in 2017. In the comics, Simon Williams is an actor, and fictional movie posters of his work, with Nathan Fillion as Williams, was seen in the background of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. All actual footage of Simon was cut from the film, but writer-director James Gunn said at the time that Wonder Man might join the MCU in the future. That future is almost here. A Wonder Man miniseries for Disney Plus was listed in post-production as of June 2024.
Simon Williams, reading for Wonder Man.
Yahya Abdul-Mateen II has replaced Fillion as Simon. Fans may know him as Black Manta from the 2 Aquaman films, or as HBO's Watchmen's version of Dr. Manhattan. Ben Kingsley will reprise the role of Trevor Slattery, with Ed Harris rumored to be making his MCU debut as Simon Williams' agent. When we last left Wong, he was the MCU's Sorcerer Supreme.
Wait, I thought you were the Sorcerer Supreme.
No, he got it on a technicality because I blipped for 5 years.
Oh.
Played by actor Benedict Wong, Wong has been a fan-favorite side character with roles in 6 films, a comic turn in She-Hulk Attorney at Law, and several appearances in What If. He was last seen on the big screen in 2022's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but lately all has been quiet on the Wong front. In March 2024, when comicbook.com asked what's up, Wong responded with a mysterious "something's looming, something's looming." Sounds promising, and with Phase 6 supposedly wrapping up the MCU's multiverse saga, it's pretty likely that we'll see the Sorcerer Supreme in the Avengers films, as well as a possible Doctor Strange 3. We know for a fact that a project built around intergalactic police officer Richard Rider Nova is in the works. It's being written by Sabia Pizzada, who previously worked on both Moon Knight and Ms. Marvel. What we don't know is whether the project is a movie or series, only that it's headed to Disney Plus and is being referred to as a, quote, special presentation. Could this be the MCU's first direct-to-TV movie? Nova himself has yet to show up in the MCU or be adapted to live action, though he previously appeared in the animated series Ultimate Spider-Man and Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. However, other members of the Nova Corps have played roles in the MCU, most notably Nova Prime Arani Rael in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. On the Phase Zero podcast, Marvel exec Brad Winderbaum described the project as an ensemble piece with a great cast of characters, in the vein of shows like Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica. Whether the upcoming project will be about more members of the Nova Corps or mostly Nova himself remains to be seen, but the group's intergalactic presence would intersect nicely with the upcoming MCU debut of characters like Silver Surfer and Galactus, which makes it more likely than not that Nova's introduction could also happen in Phase 6. The Disney Plus Ironheart series is currently slotted for Phase 5, set to focus on Dominique Thorne's Riri Williams, who first became the armored hero in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. The 6-episode miniseries is set to hit Disney Plus in 2025.
You don't know Ironheart? The teenage MIT student who flew in to fill Iron Man's armored shoes? Well, hold on to your helmet.
It's not out of the realm of possibility for a project to change phases. Thunderbolts and the Fantastic Four First Steps swapped places after First Steps was delayed. While nothing has suggested that this is going to happen with Ironheart, the fact that Phase 6 as yet has no official presence on Disney Plus means it's possible for things to be moved around in order to fill out its thin lineup. the X-Men have been creeping into the MCU, most via cameos like Professor X in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and Hank McCoy Beast in the Marvels. But Deadpool and Wolverine finally fully integrated the X-Men into the MCU. Not only does Deadpool himself have a long history with the team, but Hugh Jackman reprising the role of Logan in the movie formally introduced Wolverine, or a variant of him anyway, into the MCU, along with Colossus, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, Yukio, Cassandra Nova, and more X-Men and X-Men adjacent characters.
All of you could stand to act a little more like X-Men.
Between Deadpool and Wolverine and the well-received X-Men 97 animated series, Marvel's mutant team are definitely having a moment. But when will a dedicated MCU X-Men movie finally happen? It could be a long way off given that there's been no official announcement, and it might get a little crowded having three big teams: the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and the X-Men, each with their own movies in Phase 6. However, there are still a couple of planned but unnamed MCU movies slated for 2026, and it isn't impossible for one of those to star the X-Men, especially since Marvel officially hired screenwriter Michael Leslie to write the script in May 2024. Marvel's Disney Plus series Agatha All Along is the second in a trilogy of series that began with WandaVision and will conclude in Phase 6 with Vision Quest, set to hit the service sometime in 2026. The series will obviously focus on Vision, with Paul Bettany slated to reprise his role, though it's not clear which version of Vision will head the show or what the overall story will be.
But certainly you are the true Vision for you believe yourself to be.
Given that Agatha reintroduced some Maximoff children to the MCU, it seems likely Vision's children will play a part in the new series. So far, Vision Quest looks to be in good creative hands, led by executive producer Terry Matalas, who oversaw the highly acclaimed third and final season of Star Trek Picard.